elected office will be for the school board, Marysville School Board. And we have three candidates, and will the three candidates please come on up to the table, and that's Kevin Barrett, Sue Devine, and Amy Powers. And as with the other candidates, each of them will have 4 minutes to kind of do an introduction and maybe stake out some of your key areas that you want to discuss. We'll do it in the same order that we have previously, which is alphabetical. And Kevin, since you start with B, you are first.
All right. I'm a 1992 graduate of Marysville High School, 96 graduate of Miami University, and a lifelong resident here in town in Marysville. As a candidate, I've been doing more listening than talking because many of the voters that I've run into, they want change. As a candidate, as the only candidate with a child in school, I bring a different perspective to the election. I come from a perspective that's not part of a voting block. I'm an independent voice that I'm willing to raise my hand and ask questions from a parent's point of view. My son's in 4th grade at Edgewood Elementary, and he represents the 6th generation of our family to be enrolled in the Marysville schools. So I want to make sure that the district is able to have those answers for the tough questions that they will face going forward. The number of people that have come forward to me has been overwhelming. From staff members to students who share personal stories of need and or concern has been overwhelming. The issues they brought up include problems with the unified classroom software, the overall mental health of the students and teachers, as well as the division that exists in the district now with 2 high schools. Other questions they brought up, of course, it was about why their tax bills were going up and why we spent $12 million on a football stadium. But one specific question that was asked to me over and over was how and why the current board was going to allow alcohol sales at non-school events on school property. Personally, I don't see that as a proposal that's a good idea for the children of Marysville or the future fundraising of the district. And I honestly think that the way that issue came about, the board handled it backwards. I do come from a newspaper background. The board, I felt like, after they tabled it, they should have came forward to the public first. I feel like the public's right to know always should come first, and the board should have maybe widened the audience, talked to more people before they brought that issue onto the agenda. And as far as a wider audience, it's something that I'm comfortable bringing to the table. I think I can help the board with that. We accomplished it at the Journal Tribune. We developed a Reader Advisory Board. The Reader Advisory Board was something that allowed community members to come no matter which side of the aisle they were on or which opinion they had, and it was rewarding that you allowed a back and forth conversation from people, and 2 people that were on that board at different times, Kenny Chafin and Jared Weiss, who were both co-chairs of the school's campaign committee. And I think I'm just of the opinion that the Marysville schools can benefit from having more people involved in the decision process. I think having more voters, taxpayers, and residents brought into the process only makes it better. After all, the taxpayers are paying the bills. We are using taxpayer funds to pay for the schools, so it makes sense that the community should be asked for their input so citizens know how their money is going to be spent when the checks are written. I agree with the voters that feel this time for a change, and on the school board, I believe I'm the candidate who can bring that needed change. If elected, I will work to institute more community involvement so those who pay for the schools are part of the discussion that's going to shape the future of the district. Thank you.
All right. And Sue, you have 4 minutes as well.
All right. Thank you. Well, good evening. I'm Sue Devine, and first I'd like to start by thanking the Union County Chamber of Commerce and their legislative committee for coordinating this event and Union Rural Electric for hosting. I'm going to start with a little background and then share some of the highlights from the past 8 years that I've served on the board that I think will support my campaign for re-election. So I graduated from BGSU with a double major in finance and international business, married Steve Devine, Marysville class of 68, in 1984. And in 1994, we moved our family of 5 back to Marysville. Our children graduated from Marysville in 2007, 2009, and 2012, and our first grandson would be in the graduating class of, I think, 2036, if I've calculated this correctly. I'm the past director of finance and development of the Union County Foundation and currently serve on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Education, or board, as the education rep, and I'm also on the finance committee of the chamber. My journey on the school board began back in 2011 when Amy and I were encouraged to consider running for school board. My youngest son was a senior in high school. I'd always been actively involved and supportive of our schools and thought being on the school board would be a great opportunity to stay connected with the schools and serve our community. Amy and I were elected and began serving in January of 2012. For those who may not know, a school board is responsible for creating and reviewing district policy and vision and for hiring and evaluating the superintendent and treasurer. We serve it as a governance team, the board, the superintendent, and treasurer. Back in 2013, a committee of community stakeholders was formed by our superintendent to create the first district strategic plan. In May of 14, our board approved that plan. It focuses on student achievement, financial stability, safety, and community partnerships. This plan is a living document. Every month during the school year, the board receives reports from every building regarding the 4 areas of the plan. In October of 2014, the board, under my leadership as president, developed our own work plan supporting the district strategic plan. The result is everyone has a clear target, there are clear expectations, and there's data to support the work that's going on every day. So some highlights from these 4 areas. In student achievement, we're recognized as a leader in educational reform. Our staff has been working tirelessly with the goal of ensuring that every student has a personalized educational experience. We aren't there, but we have our goals and we're heading in that direction. In all of our buildings, students are driving their own education with the support and guidance of our staff. STEM skills like collaboration, project-based learning, multiple attempts to gain mastery, these are developing the habits of mind that are going to prepare our students for a successful future. In financial stability, with a background in finance, I'm especially proud of our financial stability. We have not passed a levy for new money since 2008, but through partnerships and creative solutions, we've been able to add programs like all-day, everyday kindergarten free of charge and an alternative kindergarten program. By putting resources at the earliest levels, it reduces costs of intervention in the later years. Our high school students have so many new opportunities through pathways like IT, medical, business, turf management, performing arts, auto tech, and that's just a few of them. Our internship program provides real-life experiences and connections for some of our senior students. And Tri-Academy is another option for those students who may need more targeted support. Our current 5-year general operating forecast shows a positive ending cash balance with no new levy requests. We also have a 20-year permanent improvement forecast for things like bus replacements, roof replacements, blacktop, etc. And that forecast also shows a positive balance throughout the entire forecast with no new levies. That's amazing. In safety, we have 5 full-time school resource officers and great relationships with our fire, police, and sheriff departments. This year, we're also implementing a social emotional learning assessment to help better identify students who are struggling. And we're also partnering with Nationwide Children's Hospital to provide suicide prevention program called Signs of Suicide. At the end of the day, it's all about our students and providing them the best opportunities we can, teaching them the power of education, of hope, and the joy of lifelong learning. I couldn't be more proud of our district and my fellow dedicated board members. Thank you.
Amy, you have 4 minutes.
All right, sir. Thank you both to the Chamber and URE for this evening. My name is Amy Powers. First of all, I'll start off by saying it's a great time to be a Marysville Monarch. My husband and I, who I married 46 years ago, have lived in Marysville for 43 years. We were both raised in the Columbus area and decided we wanted to raise our children into a community that they would have a community-based upbringing rather than a big town, and that's why we came here. We raised 3 sons here, and now they have all returned with their wives after going to college, and we have their life that they want to succeed in, and it's all offered right here in Marysville. We have also been recognized as a state and national educational leader, all while keeping true to the core values of this community. That's what we need. We need to stay true to our values and teach our children the core values of this community. In my job as an intensive supervision officer for the Union County Common Pleas Court, I witness firsthand every day what the heroin and drug epidemic is doing to our community. Preparing our children for life after school must involve supporting them beyond academics. This is one of my specialties on the board. I am also on the Youth Drug Coalition Board, which I attend bi-monthly meetings with them. We bring that knowledge into the schools. We bring the surveys into the schools. We need to know where our children are at all times with this epidemic that is going on. We have to educate and work with our families before it gets to a point of abuse if we see this going on in our children. My professional career has helped prepare me to help the school district with this critical issue. Our community continue on a path of progress and stability. During my 8-year tenure, the district has made significant progress academically and offers a personalized education for all students on a lean and stable operating budget. The district has upgraded facilities, added the early college high school, provided all-day kindergarten, which Sue talked about, a new alternative kindergarten, added more technology in the classroom, added school resource officers, providing important mental health issues, which go back to the drug issue as well, all without raising taxes. We are quickly becoming a destination school district, and with that comes student enrollment growth. We must plan for this growth responsibly. The current district leadership has a track record of doing just that. We've made $25 million in facility improvements without raising taxes. We offer an amazing learning experience to students and have excellent teachers, all while remaining fiscally conservative. Voters can be pleased to know that the Marysville has one of the lowest per pupil expenditure rates in comparison to other high-performing districts in the area. That means we are offering excellent schools at a great value to our taxpayers. It has been an honor to serve this community over the past 8 years, and I would like to remain and ask for your support on the school board to continue representing our wonderful community on this path to progress. Thank you.
All right. Amy, thank you. We will follow the same format. I have questions from the audience. You'll each have 2 minutes to answer the questions. We'll start in alphabetical order. The next question the last person will be first and so on. All right? Okay. Kevin, you'll be the first to answer the question.
Okay.
Given the latest school report card from the Ohio Department of Education, what are the specific highlights and opportunities for growth that you see?
For sure, it was the closing the gap. They constantly are changing the report card on how they evaluate the students, but as far as when you kind of dial it down to actually from a parent's community perspective, I wish there was a way that they could evaluate relationship building at the schools. I think that honestly that report card doesn't do enough to measure, how these kids can communicate. We're so much into, put them in front of a computer, and then when you go to try to carry on a conversation with them, they don't look you in the eye. They aren't able to kind of put their words together. So I wish that they would actually change that report card to add more of that, and I think that should be instituted into the schools. You find that when we divide the school district and we have 2 high schools where the kids have to choose where they're going as 8th graders, it puts stress on them. So they're not emotionally ready to make those decisions. And I think that as far as like a way to measure that would be nice to be able to see where we would be as a district, because I think that's how the district used to be, and I think that that's something that people in the community would like to see reinstituted, is something where the kids actually know all the kids in their school. They are able to have relationships with them, and appreciate coming back to alumni associations and whatnot.
Sue, same question to you.
Okay, so report card. I mean, I'm proud we got an overall B on our report card. At the same time, I'm one who I agree with Kevin that the report card really doesn't tell the story of our district. But at the same time, I'm very proud of some of the things on there, and I just have to. I know it's not supposed to be a debate, but I'm proud that we have choices for our students. Having 2 high schools is a choice, and that's a good thing. But anyways, going back to the report card, our district does a great job of disseminating the data in there, looking at it by building, using that to inform instruction. While it's a tool, we know it's just a snapshot in time. It's something that we can use to find ways to improve student achievement. As far as relationship building, that is our whole focus right now, this personalized learning. You go into the classroom, I mean, we visit the classrooms frequently, and I will tell you that it's amazing to me. I go into the classroom and I go up to a student and they will tell me exactly what they're working on. And this could be a kindergartner or it could be in high school. And it's just, and today we had a business impact breakfast and there were students who went on the Japanese exchange program and they were 14-year-olds and they all spoke in front of the entire audience and gave some points about what was important to them with this trip. And so anyways, I feel like our report card is a useful tool for us to find ways to improve student achievement, but it's just one small snapshot in time.
Amy, same question to you.
And I'm going to kind of ditto off of Sue. Our report card, we're continuing constantly to close that gap. Sure, we still need to improve. If we stop improving, then we're in trouble, okay? So by using this report card, it gives us the ability to continue to improve and the achievement, but to continue to be proud of our growth, okay? As we see these children taking these steps, that reflects on this report card. And again, I'm going to ditto what Sue said. Having a B on this report card is fantastic, and our staff and teachers are doing their job.
All right. Gave us a little extra time there, huh? You didn't use your whole 2 minutes. That's my fault. All right.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. All right. Next question. Amy, you're going to be first.
Oh, boy.
All right.
All right.
Sue second, and then Kevin, you will be third. What would you do to help expand services for gifted and talented students?
Well, okay, so in our programs right now, we are constantly adding on, like right now we have 49 businesses that have come on board with us in the early college high school. We have programs that are continually coming together every year that will bring up more and more teachings to what these children do. We provide, and again, our superintendent stays on top of that, all new programs coming in, what we need to look at, what we need, how we need to disseminate, and how we need to continue to offer for our children to grow. So those programs are all living documents, and they will continually grow and grow and grow as we see the need that when they reach a certain level, then they will expand that program, and we will continue on that pathway. We refuse to stay stagnant in the course offerings. We have developed, like I said, 49 businesses right now. Children that are gifted, we look at that and say, what do you want? That's what we do. Our personalized learning goes with each child, what they're looking at, what they want to be, what they want to accomplish in their life. This is why the personalized learning is so crucial that we are implementing.
Sue, same question to you.
Okay, sure. So again, as we visit buildings, I think it's really interesting. Like at the elementary level, these students, they know what the standards are and they work through them, and the teachers do a lot of small group work with these students. And as they reach a certain level, and they master something, then there are additional resources for them to move on and grow. And so within one classroom, you're going to have students that are working in a wide array of standards and at different levels of mastery. And so our teachers are being trained to do that. So as far as having specific gifted programs and things like that, I mean, it's a personalized structure. So every teacher is able to meet that student where it's needed. I think about Bunsol. They have created a lot of opportunities in their everyday structure where students who might have met some standards, they have a free period and they can go and work on something that they're passionate about. It might be in an area that they're really good, or it might just be something completely new. So we're providing a lot of enrichment opportunities beyond the basic standards that are required. And then in high school, I agree, and it's not just the STEM school. We have business partnerships. We have community members that come in and help mentor these students at Tri Academy. Chef Kibbe was in there this morning helping those students learn about the culinary career. So we're providing so much more than just the basic standards that are required by law. And so again, I think we've kind of moved away from that. We're providing gifted services. We're providing personalized services to meet every student where they are.
Thank you. Kevin.
When I was in school, there was a class called the resource class. That's where all the gifted students were put together. And I think that's something that they need to look at. The school needs to look to bring that back, because right now, the way it is divided is there is a class that's divided where you have some kids that are struggling, some kids that are in the middle, and some kids that are gifted. And so they kind of put them into groups. The gifted kids get to go on to the levels that they can attain, but yet the teacher struggles. Like in 4 years of my son's elementary, every teacher has done it different. There's no consistency whatsoever in the district. In first grade, he was allowed to be on the iPad and go and do lessons. The teacher would go to second grade and bring things in for him. And second grade, the teacher didn't agree with the new curriculum, so she actually brought all the class together, taught them as a whole, and maybe rebuff the administration. I don't know, but when I'm reading in the Journal Tribune that we're going to personalized learning, that's not actually what's happening. Practical application to every class in the district. So in third grade, he went back to a teacher that did allow them to go on their own path. Now in fourth grade, he's back to a group setting where at a parent-teacher conference just yesterday, I asked, where's the personalized learning? Well, they actually do it a little different because she has a little more comfortable nature of bringing the class together and having them in 3 different groups. So I honestly think that if you're going to look to address the resource class and or the gifted students, then they all need to be in the same class, and that class needs to be with a teacher that understands their ability so they can take them to that higher level. I don't know if the district will ever do that, because if you take all the gifted kids out of each class, then the other classes could struggle. So I'm not sure what the philosophy there of the administration, but I can tell you that as a father of a son of a 4th grader, practical application is not happening, a personalized learning in every grade. It sounds good, but it's not happening.
All right, thank you. And this will be the last question. Amy, you're going to be the first to answer.
Oh, yeah.
Or
I was first last time.
I'm
It's
sorry.
my turn.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you will be first to answer.
Thank you.
Amy, and then something like that. Okay. And I apologize if I mess up this question a little bit. All right. We're hearing a lot about mastery learning. The unified classroom software being used now inform parents about how their children are performing is new to grades K through 8. How do you feel this understanding of the students' learning? How understandable is this to the students' learning, and is it purposeful and thorough?
Okay.
You get to start with
Okay.
that.
Wow, there's a lot of questions there. Okay, but anyways, so mastery learning. That really excites me, that question, because this past year our superintendent asked us to read a book about equity of grading, and it just brought up so many so many things that kind of remind me back of my traditional classroom learning. And it just made me realize that mastery learning is the way to go. So a lot of people say, well, what is this mastery learning? It's really making sure that when students have a variety of standards that they need to learn, that they are that the teacher looks at where they are with every standard. So traditional grading, you take your quizzes, you go over a lot of things, you average your scores, and you come up with a B or an A. What does that tell you? How did you do with this standard and this standard and this standard? How did you do with each individual standard? So with mastery learning, they're looking at what the student is doing with each standard. And so you might have mastered 3 of 5 standards that are required, and the other 2, you're not quite there. You can turn that into a grade, but as a parent, as a student, and as the teacher, you know what that grade is saying now. You know that, okay, your student got a B, you excelled in 3 of them, but in 2 of them, you're still kind of struggling. So mastery learning, I think, is really just kind of taking it down to a more detailed level where you're really trying to make sure that the concepts that you're teaching, every student reaches a certain level of mastery before they move on to the next concept. So, another way of explaining it, you get a C in class and maybe it's math or something. You move on and maybe you never really understood the multiplication table, but you got enough to pass the class. Well, it's going to catch up with you eventually. So that whole idea of mastery learning is making sure that you mastered the concept before you move on to the next concept. So, anyways, I'm not sure. I can't remember what all the other questions were, but I've finished my time anyway. So, thank you.
Kevin.
Was the question about unified classroom?
Well, that was part of it. Yeah.
It was mastery learning, the unified classroom software being used now to inform parents.
So what unified classroom is it's actually a K through 8 pilot project at Edgewood Elementary. It's a software that the students actually are able to have their work online. The teacher is able to put the tests in, and the parents can go and download the app in order to monitor their status. So, at the end of the day, it's replacing Schoology. It's a constant software update every year. There's nothing that's ever static. It's always changing. Maybe that's a good thing in some situations, but when you talk to the staff, they're not happy about it. They just want to get to a level where they can actually pay attention to their kids and teach them what they need to know. So the constant updating of software is not something that they're comfortable with. And if the staff isn't comfortable with it, then it's not going to translate to the kids' education either. And so the only good thing I can tell you about Unified Classroom right now is it helps bridge the gap for the lack of substitute teachers that we can hire here in the district. Whether you know this or not, we can't get subs to work. Whether they don't want to come here, whether the pay is too low, I'm not sure yet. But I know in my son's class, there's 3 4th grade teachers. One of them was sick. They split the other class in 2. So he has a free day because they have 30-some 10-year-olds running around in each class. The unified classroom actually helped in that situation because every kid can go to their computer, get on their work, and the one teacher that's in charge of all those kids can help monitor that many kids. But at the end of the day, it's this constant things in motion because then you can't evaluate it. So I would like to see the district get a handle on exactly what we're going to do long term and then put a plan in place instead of just constantly updating. Because at the end of the day, when you talk to the staff and they have this emotional roller coaster and or mental health issues, those things transfer down the line.
Amy, same question.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up our last board meeting here to give you an example of how the mastery learning takes place. We saw the children in action in the classroom because it was videotaped. It was wonderful. The children, once they mastered something, got to go up and put their M. That was an achievement. You should have seen how proud, their little chests poked out, and it was like, yes, I did it. And they go back for the next one, okay? So as we are seeing these children in action, it says to me that we're doing it right because the children love and feel that level of achievement, and that's what it's all about. As far as the computer stuff and everything, the Schoology, the Unified, that's not a board thing. That's not a board thing. We leave that. That should be left to our superintendents and our teachers. Those are the ones, and our technology people. Those are the ones, and the teachers are one of our largest groups who sit down and explain to us what they want. They do that through the superintendent and the teachers get together. We as a board, that's not our expertise, okay? So we do not tell them what programs to use, what technology to use, what is best for the children, because that's not our expertise. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our questions. I want to thank the three councilors.